All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
TALKSPORT. Who's this? Benn used to play for Tottenham. Say no more. He didn't do that great there. It won't be a shock if AJ loses to DILLIAN Whiyte, is what he says. Well, that's rich. You a former footballer commentating on boxing. Not sure how much Darren really knows about boxing, but it seems anyone at TALKSPORT thinks they can try their hand at being a boxing commentator. But what's the truth, Darren? If AJ was to lose against DILLIAN Whiyte, TALKSPORT for the next couple of months, or maybe even 3 months, would divert all their traffic around AJ losing to DILLIAN. They'd have you up there, Jamie O'Hara, another Tottenham footballer who didn't really do great down at the fucking lane, talking about boxing. Simon Jordan, Gareth Davis, Spencer Oliver, video after video after video after video. So it's not exactly true what you're saying, really, is it? Losing will get more headlines for AJ than knocking DILLIAN out in a round spectacularly. That's the bottom line, because when it comes to not just AJ, but anybody in the media spotlight, the negative story outsells the positive all day. Like FROCH has reinvented himself from boxer to pundit to the anti-AJ guy, and he's basically making a career of it. He's got a YouTube channel, he's on all these mainstream media outlets talking about AJ disrespectfully. And you're telling me that it won't be a big deal if AJ loses to DILLIAN? Everything AJ does is a big deal.
But then again, I thought you knew.
I tell you what, if FROCH's content based on AJ, negative shit about AJ dries up, I don't know what he's going to do to reinvent himself then. Well, maybe get another nose job. Now, to me, there's only a few relevant factors here. For DILLIAN,
What?
avenging the knockout defeat 8 years ago, or 7 years and some change, and it was a bad knockout. AJ is the highest payday he can get out of there. That's available. Them two reasons alone, in my opinion, are not enough for DILLIAN to be arguing about a rematch clause. USYK, he took a rematch clause against Anthony Joshua. He didn't need to. He was a mandatory. He would have got his shot anyway. But he took the rematch clause because he said, this guy is huge. If I beat him first time around, second fight, how much money do I get? According to this site, this is the first site that came up, Joshua took $13.6 million in their first fight. USYK took $4.1 million. That was what he was entitled to as his split as mandatory. In the rematch in Saudi Arabia, $75 million apiece. Now, DILLIAN won't be getting that type of money if he beats AJ, but the fight is likely to go from O2 Arena, the first fight, into a stadium if he beats AJ. I mean,
Alexander Usyk.
He didn't have to take the rematch clause. He could say, yo, I'm mandatory. I just want to fight and be freed from you and Eddie and go straight after Tyson Fury. But no, he went for the legacy and he went for the money. Anyone right now, aside from USYK and Tyson Fury, who have belts to bargain with, turn down a fight with Anthony Joshua because of a rematch clause? It looks shaky to me.
Simple fee, simple this and that, and then they send a very complicated contract with a lot of hoops and a lot of hooks in the contract to hook me in, and I don't want that. I just want a simple contract, simple fight, winner takes all, winner move on. You understand? Winner move on and have a big fight in Saudi Arabia. This fight for me is about the opportunity. It's not about the money. That's why I'm taking the fight for what the money they offer me is about the opportunity. But now they're trying to put rematch clauses and stuff in there that ties me up for up to a year, you know what I mean, which will mess everything up. So I'm not interested in that. I just want a straightforward fight. Winner moves on. That's it.
Here's what I don't get, yeah? DILLIAN was #1 ranked WBC contender to Deontay Wilder for a number of days, for over a year. Was it past 2 years, perhaps? And Wilder wouldn't give him the shot. DILLIAN was showing Arkham Barak, Texas, where apparently he said, Wilder said, I'm not going to give you the shot. I'm going to freeze you out. And DILLIAN wants to go through all these negotiations again to fight Deontay Wilder. And as far as I know, there's been no sources to quote that they want DILLIAN over there anyway. The deal is exclusive to Fury and USYK, Wilder and AJ. DILLIAN hasn't been included in that.
Straightforward fight. Winner moves on. That's it.
Moves on to where exactly? It's not exactly a formality that DILLIAN beats AJ. It's the furthest thing from that.
Anthony Joshua's a different level, you know. He's the cash cow. He's the guy that brings the money to the table. DILLIAN White's been offered big money for where he is right now in his career. He says, he didn't want the rematch clause. He wants the opportunity to go out there and fight with Deontay Wilder out in Saudi. Well, that's not happening. And I'll tell you why it's not happening, because I interviewed Amir Abdullah. And Amir Abdullah, when I asked him the question, what if one of these guys gets beat in one of these warm-up fights? Does that affect what's going on out there? And he said, no, these are the 4 heavyweights we want. They're the 4 heavyweights we see as the most attractive.
Only thing that I can argue against what Spencer Oliver is saying there, if Joshua loses and he's got a rematch clause with Dillian White, well, does he activate it for his next fight? Because his next fight is supposed to be with Deontay Wilder in December. Unless he can activate the clause after the Wilder fight. But, you know, he's broke it down. Like, the Saudis are not going to pay Dillian White the type of money they're going to pay Tyson Fury, USYK, who they've signed, Wilder and Anthony Joshua. These are the glamour names in the division currently. And basically, if he doesn't take the fight, he's in the wilderness. Now, you can argue that Eddie Hearn should be offering rematch clauses. That's another argument. But, you know, their argument would be, we're the A-side. And there's only a few fighters who wouldn't be in a position to accept the contract as it is, rematch clause and all. And I think Dillian, unless he doesn't want the fight, fits into that category. He's not in a position like Fury or USYK, where they have belts to bargain. He's coming off a controversial win against Jermaine Franklin. A lot of people think he lost. And before that, he was knocked out by Fury. He's been knocked out 3 times in his career. This seems like too good a deal to turn down. He also turned down a 2019 fight with Anthony Joshua when Joshua was champion. Dillian said they offered Tyson Fury 4 times the amount. I'm not taking the fight. And then after, you'd hear Dillian coming out saying, oh, I wasn't offered the fight. When the receipts are out there that he acknowledged the fight was offered to him, but he didn't take it because he didn't like the money being offered. So on TALKSPORT recently, he said he doesn't want to get tied down into a contractual situation. I mean, getting tied down for another AJ fight to get a payday that most heavyweights out there would kill for doesn't seem that bad to me. And the way I see it is, if Dillian is as thorough as he puts it out there, the last thing he'd be thinking about is a damn rematch clause. The only thing on his mind right now would be to knock Anthony Joshua out. The fact he's even talking about Wilder in Saudi Arabia might suggest he doesn't really want to avenge that loss to AJ. You know, and like him running straight up to TALKSPORT talking about AJ's a strange guy and Eddie's talking nonsense. Looked like he wanted to control the narrative and get his alibi straight before Eddie went up there. NGANNOU versus Derek Chisora on the Saudi bill in December is being spoken about, according to Eddie Hearn. Hopefully someone from the Skills Challenge organization don't dispute Eddie's claim. It's an interesting fight, though. It's an interesting fight. A lot of people believe that NGANNOU can knock Derek over because of the fearsome reputation he cultivated in the MMA world over there at the UFC. But this ain't UFC. This ain't UFC. I'll give Francis 1 round to get Derek out of there, and then the stamina issues are going to have to come into serious scrutiny. You know, what real boxing cardio could you develop between now and December? Cardio in boxing is totally different from cardio in MMA. And defense, what fundamentals in terms of defense can you develop from now until December? And you have to remember, Derek is a volume puncher, so you're going to need defense. I'm tempted to put a crafty bet on Derek to win, providing he gets through the first round. It's an interesting fight. Simon Jordan is trying to do the old Michael Benson, Mike Coppinger thing, claiming he's got sources. He says that Fury and Alexander Usyk is not happening in December. That apparently Wilder offered Andy Ruiz 70-30. His dad called Wilder a liar about a low ball offer. They want 50-50. I think 60-40 in Wilder's favour is a more realistic negotiation. So Wilder hasn't got his tune-up fight yet. AJ hasn't got his tune-up fight yet. Fury said he had some announcement the other day. I didn't look into it too much. Usyk's fighting Daniel Dubois soon. People are saying the Saudis are bad for boxing because they're disrupting the flow with these big financial offers and everyone's standing on the sideline waiting for these deals to materialize. First of all, what flow? We haven't had an undisputed champion since 2003. Stop it. Now, a lot of that was because Vitaly and Vladimir were brothers, but Vitaly retired around 2012, 2013. Vlad was displaced by Tyson Fury in 2015, late 2015. We haven't had no blood type clashes since then to prevent undisputed unification. The procrastination at world title level in boxing is not a problem that could be laid at the door of Saudi Arabia. No, that's reaching. Why can't the likes of Otto Walling get a fight? Frank Sanchez, Martin Bacoli. Why aren't they fighting each other? It's beyond the top 4 aligned to this Saudi deal. It's beyond them. The problem is endemic, not only through the heavyweight division. 32-year-old former WBO middleweight champion Savannah Marshall jumped straight back into a very difficult fight, at least on paper, against the undisputed super middleweight champion FRENCHON CRREWS from the United States. FRENCHON is now 36 years of age. She's 8-1 with 2 inside the distance. Savannah is 12-1 with 10 inside the distance. Both of their losses have been to Claressa Shields, who Savannah lost the last time out. The Claressa Shields fight was 8 months ago. 8 months or so. Now that might seem like a short period of time in modern day boxing, saying, yeah, well, she could just jump straight into her next fight. But it's a long time out. You know, the rules don't change because boxers don't fight as much as the boxers from previous eras. It doesn't change the rules. 8 months out is a long time out. And I think going into a fight like this, the chance to work on some new things has been missed. However, FRENCHON CRREWS, she can box, but she doesn't mind a fight. I don't believe she has the speed of a Claressa Shields, and I don't think she sets up the same type of traps that Claressa was setting up for Savannah. This is a very tough fight. Peter Fury, he may know more than me. Ben Shalomi may know more than me. But I think they should have gave her every chance and got a sharp, maybe even 2 tune-up fights in 8 months. That's doable. That is more than doable. But these days it seems like, no, we can't do that. And the reason I say that is because she's 4 years younger than CRREWS. 4 years younger. And sharpness is kryptonite for old fighters. It's kryptonite. You want to gain every advantage you can possible because CRREWS has been out of the ring for over a year. You could take advantage of these things against aging fighters. Since 2019, CRREWS has only had 3 fights. 3 fights. And I saw her last fight. That's over a year ago on that Katie Taylor-Serrano build at the MSG. And she won well. She won well. But to me, her legs looked a little heavy. And she was knocked off balance from a few shots and stuff. The inactivity can't help her, surely. And it could be as much a mental battle for Savannah to get over the hump and get the W here. What I've noticed with the African-American ladies who box, whether it's Layla Ali, Claressa Shields, a personal favorite, Ann Wolfe, Baumgardner. I mean, look at the way she put it on Michaela Mayor. Michaela imploded, man. She imploded. They seem to have unshakable confidence and they put it on their opponents. And if you're not mentally up for it, it could be a tough night. FRENCHON is not the same as Claressa outside the ring, but she's a very strong-willed woman who is based in her self-belief and her resilience through her struggle. And you can hear it when they're in the face-to-face. And I believe that Claressa Shields mentally got to Savannah a little. I really do. Because Claressa thrives on it. She was initiating the verbal exchanges between her and Savannah. Savannah was just responding to stay in there so she didn't get overwhelmed. Now the fight itself was a close fight. It was a close fight. Claressa won, but it was a close fight. And there was something about that fight that made Savannah look almost uncomfortable in there. And it could have been Claressa's mental game. And it was definitely Claressa's skill set on the night. The occasion. But something went wrong. Something went wrong. And she can't afford this time around. If she can't box at that laconic pace she normally does, swaying side to side and putting her combinations together, then she has to come out of character. And when you have to come too much out of character, sometimes it can result in you playing into your opponent's hands. So it all depends. It all depends how she approaches it mentally. I keep repeating that, mentally. And it could be a dodgy one, a controversial decision. I don't think there's going to be much in it when they total up the points. But she should be able to take hold of that super middleweight division and become undisputed champion. She has hometown advantage in Manchester.
I'm going to say it like this. The higher power gave you more. When there's more given, more is expected. You understand that?
But it's the pressure though.
I understand the pressure, but God built us different. Did you just tell me that?
I'm 23.
So sometimes there's a lot put on us, but it's put on us because we're the ones that can take it. Jared may not think he can sometime. Jared may get messed up sometime, but Jared can wear these shoes. That's why Jared has it. You understand me?
But Jared ain't asked for it.
Too bad. Jared has a destiny that Jared can't run from. And Jared ain't no coward, I already know that. Right? So Jared may as well make up his mind and let's go. You gotta ride that horse, son. I'm sorry. You gotta ride that horse. I rode it. You ain't gotta ride it till the wheels come off, but you gotta ride it. You understand me? You gotta ride it till you get where you wanna be in life, then you can get off of it. But we're gonna ride that horse. That's just what we gotta do, all right? Ah, my man, my man.
Should Top Rank, should Team Jared, the Jared Anderson fan base, should they be concerned? After watching that, is he falling apart? Roy Jones is the previous era before this one here, and his dad was a hard taskmaster. Roy Jones, the only man aside from Bob Fitzsimmons to win the middle, light heavy and heavyweight titles. Hopefully Roy's pep talk had a positive effect on him, because he needs it. I never liked that Big Baby name. I don't like it on him or Jarrell Miller. I never liked it. When I think about how much drugs Miller had to pump into his fucking ass intravenous just for one fight, it says so much about modern day boxers. Anyway, his opponent on Saturday will be Charles Martin. He replaces Kozabutsi, the unbeaten Kazakhstan fighter who had visa issues. Charles Martin, what did he call himself in that bizarre video? The base god. He appeared to be getting blunted with his brethren, talking a whole load of crap. So he's just as flaky as Jared. I guess if Jared can separate his mental breakdowns from his ring performances, then it's okay. I don't see Charles Martin flipping the script on Jared Anderson. But I expect Martin to land his fair share of shots unless he's blown out of there early from that southpaw stance and that long, lengthy jab he has, and was handling Luis Ortiz pretty much with ease until he got caught with them shots in round 6. That was January of last year. He's had one fight since then against Devin Vargas, a knockout victory. He's 37 now. He's 37, so he's getting up there. No one's expecting him to beat Jared Anderson. I don't believe he will. You know, he'll either get tagged or he'll mentally fall apart as well. It is what it is. Jared, 14-0, 14 knockouts, 23 years of age. Did he say he wanted to stop boxing at 26, 27? You can't put a number on these things. You can't put a number on these things. You have to wait until the job is done. There's no scheduled time when you become an undisputed fighter or even just bagging one belt. There's a lot of politics in between. And it's not just the fighting that breaks the boxers. It's the politics. The politics, the modern day politics brings another dimension. And if fighters can't cope with this, it will be an issue. I don't understand the video though. He's not the first boxer, modern day boxer, to break down. Why was it videoed? Why couldn't he talk to Roy off camera and the video never come to the light of the public? What was the purpose of showing that? The cynic in me is thinking it's a gimmick to sell him. Alright, let's talk about Conor Benn. So, Conor, not the smartest kid in the world. You know, this 200-page dossier they keep talking about, which I'm sure Conor himself never read. It was given to the WBC and they exonerated him, I guess, by saying, yes, it was eggs that resulted in the contaminated test or the adverse finding, if you like. So now he's got this new team on board and they're going to prove his innocence. And they're going to go to the egg explanation. Although when the WBC said it was eggs, Conor seemed to be mad with the WBC, saying it's not eggs. I never said it was eggs. He said that on Piers Morgan. And Conor's all about the place, just piping up and blah, 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 blah. And if he had just kept his mouth shut and let the people behind the scenes work it all out, it might take its time, but it would have been for the better, because now, after doubling down saying it wasn't eggs, it looks like they're going to go back with the yes, it was eggs, because UKAD now have the dossier, and the new people on board trying to clear his name are saying it was the eggs. I don't know if Conor's guilty. I don't know if he's not. I see it like this. If the WBC went with eggs, how many months back? And that conclusion was drawn from the evidence from the dossier. But if UKAD have the dossier, and whether they read all 200 pages and go through it thoroughly, or they're looking to damage control the situation and just be done with the whole fucking thing now. Well, of course they're going to go with eggs, because Britain have a relationship with the WBC, all the promoters do. So what are UKAD going to say? Oh, the WBC didn't investigate this properly, it's not eggs. Everyone's staying on the same hymn sheet now, eggs. If the WBC said eggs, UKAD will say eggs. Eggs will satisfy the British Boxing Board of Control, and he'll be able to continue his career in Britain, abroad. That's why he should have kept his mouth shut and let his promoter, Eddie, do the talking. Eddie's good at talking, isn't he? Let Eddie talk. No more throwing his toys out the pram. I'm going to sue the board. Everybody's against me, jumping up on Piers Morgan and making a bit of an ass of himself, if we're real. Here's what it is. Let's put this case to bed now, whether he's innocent or guilty. Let's put it to bed. Bottom line is, his reputation is tarnished now. It's tarnished, and that's due to all the coverage that the case got and all the pieces that were written, videos made by TALKSPORT. It doesn't matter what they turn up to say he's innocent. The damage has been done, trial by media. He's always going to be tarnished, whether he likes it or not. It is what it is. Let's see how it plays out, how UKAD plays it. Are they just going to give the green light to the eggs theory? Because what can they really do? They can't really investigate it with any evidence they produce, because they didn't pop him. VADA popped him. You know, people talking about he's going to get a retroactive ban. From who? UKAD do not recognise VADA results. They can't clear him, neither ban him. They'll just agree with the eggs theory, and I'm guessing the British Boxing Board of Control will say, okay, yeah, exit is, and then he'll box. He'll box wherever he wants, UK or abroad.